Hello, we will start off with the science chapter number 1 for class 7, which is nutrition in plants. Okay, so what do we understand by nutrients in the very first place? Let's start with this. Well, nutrients are going to be those energy giving or building block materials that we are going to consume. For humans, it is going to be the food that is taken in by us. Now, for plants also, there should be a kind of food that they are consuming to give them the nutrients. So, this chapter discusses about the food for the plants, how they make this food, and how they make this food available for the entire world to consume. Now, nutrition is simply a word that would be derived from the nutrients. Nutrition is a process by which you take the food and then you break it down to give you energy to work plus to build the body. In the case of a plant as well, the same process is true. So what have we understood so far? One term was nutrients. The second word is the nutrition. Nutrients go in, which is the food ingredients. Body breaks it down to form energy and build it, and hence grow later on. Now, since this is more focused on the plants, we will confine to that. But there is an important terminology that has been discussed in the book. So, this chapter is full of definitions and definitions and definitions. It's a gold mine for the examiners. So, please pay attention to the terms. Now, there is a term that comes up from this which is called the autotrophs. What does auto mean is going to define everything. The other thing is heterotroph. Auto means it's automatic, they do things on their own. Now plants, most of them are going to be autotrophs because they can produce their own food. Okay, so what is an autotroph? Autotroph is an organism that makes its own food from the raw materials. Now you can say that I make my own food, my mom makes her own food. Now she's not making food, or you're not making food from raw material. Okay, you need rice which has already been made by the plant. Okay, if you are making a curry, you are putting in vegetables into it, you are putting in spices, seeds into it. All those are also pre-made. You are not producing seeds on your own, and hence we would not be classified as autotrophs. Autotrophs, like the plant, will use simple things like the gas. Which gas are we talking about? Carbon dioxide. It will use sunlight. We can't use sunlight to give us energy. We have to rely on the plants to take that. Then it uses water. We are not able to produce that. Plant will combine all of these and give us the net product, which is the food, which the plant also uses and we also use. What about heterotrophs? Heterotrophs are those organisms which do not produce their own food from raw material, and they have to rely on the autotrophs to get the food. Okay. Now heterotrophs themselves, if we are talking about the animal world, can even have other animals, as we have already discussed last year in the class 6 chapters, that the food ingredients can be plant product, can be animal products. Now these heterotrophs can either use plant products, animal products, or both of them. But the bottom line is, hetero is not going to produce its own food, it's going to take food from somewhere else. Okay. This brings us to an important section. So the most logical thing here will be, how is the plant producing its food? Right. Obviously, plant has got some sort of a factory where the food is being made. Where is this factory in the whole plant body? Well, plant is going to produce food from green structures. The most common that you would say is going to be the leaf, which has got green color to it because of a chemical present in it. Now, sometimes you can have the stem of the plant, which is doing most of the work of producing the food. Can you guess what this is? Well, this is the cactus, and the small spikes that you see here are actually the leaves. Now, because the leaves are so small and the plant has to make its own food, somebody has to take over the job, and it's been done by the green stem. So what I want to emphasize here is that it is the green colored part of the plant which produces the food, which has the factory to produce the food. By the way, there is one more thing that I need to emphasize. We discussed about the heterotrophs. Sorry for that. Now, heterotrophs could even be plants. There are some plants which do not have this food factory. Okay, we will talk about that separately. But at the minute, we are talking about how the plants, which are the autotrophs, are producing their own food. Okay, so don't get confused that plants are always going to be autotrophs. No, like animals, they can also be heterotrophs. So what have we discussed so far? We have discussed that the plant factories are located in the green colored parts. Now, what does that green color, where does that green color come from? The green color comes from, now you need to cram this, it's from chlorophyll. Chlorophyll gives the green color to the leaves or to the stem. Now, what is the importance of this chlorophyll? The process by which plant produces or manufactures its own food is called photosynthesis. It is something that is 100% coming in the exam. Photo means light. Okay. So we said initially that plant produces its food from gas, that is the carbon dioxide, carbon dioxide, then sunlight, and from water. So it needs the light. Synthesis means to produce. So by binding, if you were to say. So the plants are using sunlight to bind together the raw materials by the process of photosynthesis to yield the net product, which is the food. What is this food? This food is a type of glucose. And if I were to say, what is glucose? Glucose is an example of carbohydrate. Now, our food, as you are aware, is made up of carbohydrate like the bread and stuff. It's made up of protein. It's made up of fats. It's made up of minerals. It's made up of vitamins. And of course, water. Yeah. So when the plant produces the food, it does not produce fats, it does not produce proteins, it does not produce vitamins, it produces carbohydrate, which is later on converted by further chemical reactions into starch, and then later on into protein, etc. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of information. Let's go back and revisit this whole thought. So we have said autotrophs produce their own food. Plants with the green colored thing in it, in the leaf or the stem, are going to produce their own food. The process by which they do that is called photosynthesis. The green colored chemical that is required is called chlorophyll. Now, to simplify things, I'm just going to give you a direct equation which will tell you how photosynthesis has happened. So, you take carbon dioxide. Where is it coming from? It's coming from the atmosphere. The air around us has oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide. Plants have this unique ability to take in carbon dioxide, which is not required by us. And hence, plants are very important in our ecosystem because they are natural filters of this bad gas for us, which is good for them. Plus water. Where is this water coming from? Water is coming from the soil. Who gets the water up to the leaf? It will go from the roots to the stem, to the leaf. Okay? What else do we need here? Now we need the sunlight. Nothing happens without the sunlight. In the presence of chlorophyll, what is forming? We are forming glucose. What is glucose? It's a type of carbohydrate. Plus, what do we form? We form the we form the oxygen. This oxygen is a byproduct of photosynthesis, which is released into the air, and this is trapped in the leaves or the stem where the photosynthesis was happening. If you want to have the exact chemical equation for this whole process, I'll just give you that as well, and I think that would be helpful for your exams as well. 6 molecules of carbon dioxide combined with 6 molecules of water in the presence of sunlight plus in the presence of chlorophyll, chlorophyll, to produce C6H12O6 plus 6 molecules of oxygen. Everything is 6 in multiples of 6 if you were to say. This oxygen gets released into the air, and this is what we breathe. What we breathe out is carbon dioxide. It is being used by the plants, and hence that is the importance of the plants. They give us food, at the same point of time they give us oxygen, and they take away the bad gas, which is the carbon dioxide. But what do they need? They need water. They would also need some minerals. If they are processing this carbohydrates into other food products, then they need further minerals. How does that come? So we have known about the gas. Gas is coming from the air. We know sunlight is coming obviously from the sun. Chlorophyll is already present in the leaf or in the plant. Now the question is, from where is the water coming? Right? So just have a look at this. This is the root. Yeah. This is the stem. This is the leaf. Yeah. This is the sun, which is giving you the light. Yeah. Carbon dioxide is all around, which is carbon dioxide. Now water has to come from the soil. You give water. Yeah. You might have had given it in your own garden as well. You give water to the soil. Now water is not given to the leaf. Leaf doesn't take water from direct application of water on the leaf. It has to go to the soil. It is these roots. These roots have got small hair. Okay. This absorbs the water. What is the process by which water is absorbed from the soil into the roots? It's by osmosis. Now you don't need to really get into the depth of the mechanism of osmosis, but it's something that's good to know. Now water has now entered into this root. It has to move up the stem. Now within the stem, like we have got various blood vessels, there are various blood vessels that are present even inside the plant. Okay, and it is through these that the water is going to travel up and reach up to the leaves. Okay, what are these structures through which water is traveling inside the stem? It is called the xylem. Another word that I have given you for your vocabulary. Water enters the root hair by the process of osmosis and travels in the xylem, which are the vascular structures present inside the plant stem, to take the water as well as the nutrients that would be present in the soil. We will talk about that, to the factory where the photosynthesis is happening, which here we have taken as an example as the leaf. Now in the presence of carbon dioxide and water, in the presence of sunlight and chlorophyll, we are producing, not we, I mean the plants are producing glucose, which is a carbohydrate, and giving away oxygen to the air. As simple as that. Osmosis was the process by which water is taken up from the soil. What was xylem? Xylem was just the structures that are present, tube-like structures that are present within the stem. It is just a tube, if you were to say. That is a simple way of saying it. It is a tube that is present in the stem in which water is going up and up and up. How this actually functions or what is the real physics behind it, you don't need to really know at this stage. Right. So we have covered a very important topic here about photosynthesis, how it has happened, and essentially how you are getting the raw material that an autotroph needs to produce their own food. You got my point? If not, then it's worth it that you actually just go through this whole slide again. This whole representation again, pause it and re-listen to it if you have not understood it. Now, when we talk more about photosynthesis, there are some other terminologies that have been discussed in the paper, in the book, which you need to know now because they have talked about it. This is the outer surface of the leaf. This is sunlight that's coming through and hitting here on the leaf surface. It's just the magnified surface of the leaf that I have made. It is covered by wax. Okay, this stuff is wax. Why is it there? It is to prevent from any sort of loss of water. Okay, now there is also a beautiful diagram in the book. I'm just making it from there. Then followed by this, there is a layer of cell lines which have chlorophyll in them. Okay, let's make it like this, that they have got chlorophyll. Okay, this is that green colored stuff that is present. Below that, there is a spongy layer of cells that's present. Like haphazardly they are arranged with a lot of space in between them. Okay, so this one had the chlorophyll containing cell layer. Here you have got the spongy cells that are present, okay, that's the nucleus, and they have got lot of space in between them. Can you see? There's a lot of space in between them. What are these spaces? These spaces are air spaces for the air to move around, okay. And now in the end there are certain cells that are present which are called the guard cells. Obviously, if the name is guard, they are the guards. So if they are the guards, what do? They control the opening of this hole, okay, this aperture. If they will open, they will let the movement through this. Now what is actually moving through them? You have already got access to sunlight. It is going to be carbon dioxide which is going to diffuse through it, okay. Now looking at the guard cells in detail, how they have actually made this whole opening look like, and under a microscope if you were to see, it's somewhat like this, surrounded by another cell, surrounded by another cell. Now this opening can either close or it can open depending on how the guard cells want it. So this was the top layer of the leaf. Guard cells are present in the bottom layer of the leaf, okay. So that's the structure of how a leaf is. So you have now known that there is a chlorophyll containing cell layer, there is some air space, and there is another layer of cells that have got these holes in between them. These are called the stoma. Any hole is going to be called a stoma. It's a technical word for a hole. So that's stoma, which is being guarded by these guard cells. They open and close and let the carbon dioxide come in. You have known about the transfer of water as well, okay. Brilliant. So now that we have covered it, I think I'll give you a break and I'll see you in the next section in my next video regarding the remaining part of the chapter, okay. Thank you guys.